What's up, everybody? Greg and Ryan, and we are
Hey.
jumping into another episode of Jordan Peele's Season 2 of The Twilight Zone.
Now, before we do that, again, spoiler warning. If you haven't seen this episode yet, get out of here, go watch it, and then come on back. Now, let's break down episode 6, 8. At the outer reaches of the world, a team of scientists discover a new, highly intelligent species, but its existence may endanger more than their research. This episode stars Joel McHale, Nadia Hilker, Michelle Ang, Tim Armstrong, and Brandon J. McLaren.
This episode was also directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, whose feature film The Endless kind of jumped onto the scene a few years ago. All right, Greg, this episode was penned by X-Files scribe Glenn Morgan, also producer of the show. And it is a journey into the classic monster movie. In the middle of the Antarctic, Dr. Orson Rudd, that's Joel McHale, and his crew of scientists are studying the reduction of the Great Ice Shelf. Meanwhile, the crew is starting to get cabin fever. They sit around attempting to pass the time, watching television, or getting high. This is totally familiar territory to anybody who loves The Thing. Basically how that movie opened, with everybody being bored out of their damn minds in a science center in Antarctica.
Now, this all changes when something living under the ice pulls down two of the scientists at this outpost. Now, Yannick attempts a rescue attempt to, again, Rudd's chagrin at this point. No one wants him to go down there to do this, but he does. Still high, by the way, goes down there and he manages to pull out one body, which happens to be covered with what is it? It looks like obviously there's holes on the face.
There's like pock marks of some kind, divots. I want to add right here that before he goes down, I love the argument between everybody, because that is another trope of this genre. The scene where like 5 people argue about what they're going to do next, when they have absolutely no idea what is happening.
Now, before he jumps in, the only evidence of what transpired is the slimy trail that leads to the ice cooler. Rudd opens it up, and he sees inside it's an octopus. It's a little scared octopus. Well, not little, I guess. It's a big boy.
It's a big octopus. And I gotta tell you, at that moment, I thought it was gonna pop off right there.
Not yet. It's
like, I was ready, like, because he's standing there with the lid open.
Mm-hmm.
And like the octopus is just chilling. And I'm thinking, this is a bad idea.
It's just thinking, I'm going to wait. Not yet. The time is not right just yet.
It's a very smart octopus.
Right after that, we get the next trope. When in every monster movie, what do you do when you got the monster? What do we do with it? Half the team wants to kill it. The other half wants to keep it alive, of course. Uh-oh.
I think they should have frozen it. That's the solution. Nobody ever listens.
We're on our way home.
Yeah, back to the old freezerinos.
This scene is also where they introduce the sort of like pseudo high-tech translation system they have going on, where 2 of the members of the crew have earpieces in and their phones are able to translate in real time what they're saying. It's the sci-fi movie in Fast Forward. It's like they show the translation stuff and then like basically like almost in the same scene or that scene, she puts it on speaker and leaves her phone on the counter. It's like that would have been like 15 minutes apart in the feature-length version.
Now, while everyone is arguing over what to do with the creature, it seems that the octopus has its own plans here as it starts to spit out water on the lights to back them off a little bit. And this is also to tell the audience, just give an intelligence reading for this being at this point for the audience to let them know, like, oh, it's pretty damn smart.
It cut the power.
Look out!
I love those POV shots of looking in from inside the tank at everyone, kind of just thinking to itself, like, I'm going to kill this one first, and then that one, and
he's
this
sizing
one.
them up. Okay, so after everybody's sort of split up, right? Like, Yannick is down looking for the body. Larry's gonna be fixing the lights. 2 of our characters are talking to each other about how they're actually not there for science. Well, they're not there for the Whipple Company science. They're actually there working secretly for Troxel Pharmaceuticals. And this octopus is probably the thing they've been looking for.
You can't say anything to anyone.
I'm not going to say anything to anyone.
And they're clearly trying to avoid the woman from who speaks Mandarin from hearing about this. This reminds me, and I know this is like a me thing, of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where you have all these future of human technology and we're up in space, and still you have like the Americans won't really talk to the Russians. Like, we've got together, we got all the technology, but there's still suspicion, there's still mistrust, and nobody is telling each other what they're up to. And while they're doing this, she's listening in on them. Okay, so Larry is not down to guard the octopus, but he takes up the task. He's there working on getting the lights repaired. While his back is turned to the tank, Dee Dee gets out, sneaks out through the top of the tank. Well, we don't really see exactly what it does to him. Yannick comes back. Now, Yannick figured out that the octopus has something to do with this because he saw the octopus ink on the ground in the shed. He comes back, he's got a knife, and he sees that the octopus is gone, turns to Larry, and Larry's just sitting there. And when he gets a little bit closer, the octopus like uncloaks almost like Predator style, and then attacks him. He gets one good like cut in with the knife, but then it gets his face, and he pulls his own eyeball out before going down. It was great.
Shouts out to Eye of the Beholder, I guess.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Now, from this point on, the episode leans heavily into the sillier aspects of the Twilight Zone. So we're led to believe that the octopus has copied and altered its own DNA to become more intelligent. Now, it accomplishes this feat by using this that handheld device, the cell phone.
Right. So it turns out that Ling is working for, we think, the Chinese government, and they want to get the octopus too. And their goal is a little bit less clear. It's maybe to weaponize, but it's definitely to combine octopus DNA with human DNA to create a hybrid. And she gives a little bit of like an evolutionary background on it. And it sounds like almost sinister. And this is becoming clear as the octopus is going through her files.
It breaks out to the water outside. And from there, we get this, like, all the octopus have teamed up now to take over the world. And that's how it ends, pretty much.
I mean, that's it. The octopus figures out how to reverse engineer the plan. The plan was to combine human DNA with octopus and make it so that the humans could rule both the land and the water. And the octopus was like, wait a minute, let's just turn that around.
And end scene.
And scene. And end of movie.
And now it's time for things we noticed and Easter eggs. If you listen closely, you'll hear the narrator of that Jacques Cousteau-like nature show that Larry is watching is the late, great Rod Serling. He's voiced here by Mark Silverman, who also voiced Rod Serling in last season's Blurry Man.
Also, if you listen closely, he says that the submersible unit that the scientific team in this documentary is using is called Cthulhu, and they're diving in a lot of squid. It's like part H.P. Lovecraft reference and like really just like the pop culture of Cthulhu too. Okay, next up, when the first dude gets like ripped apart by the octopus that we can't see, the blood just sprays all over the woman's face and she screams. Man, that just reminds me of the chestburster scene in Alien. The blood hits Veronica Cartwright in the face. It's famously, she didn't know that was going to happen and her scream was totally real.
Next up, the floor of the outpost shows that Whipple is behind this technology. This is yet another nod to the classic Twilight Zone episode, The Brain Center at Whipple's.
Finally, the octopi that Ling is studying have the names Joey and Dee Dee, which is a tribute to the band members from the Ramones, Joey and Dee Dee Ramone. Also worth noting, Tim Armstrong of the band Rancid is playing Larry. And I'll mention that in 1996, I went to Lollapalooza and saw Rancid and the Ramones on the same day.
Oh, there you go. Full circle. Okay, let's go into overall thoughts here. I thought this episode was silly. I liked it though. It's a very, you called it a monster movie that's been fast forwarded. extremely short, 31 minutes.
Down to 30 minutes.
Yep, and it does all the tropes you want in a sci-fi monster mash movie. But what they do at the end here, which is probably going to drive anyone insane, is it made me think of South Park and Simpsons, is where Joel McHale has to throw out all this exposition at the last 5 minutes of the episode, just to explain to everyone what's going on with the octopus. That just made me think, okay, this is South Park at this point, where I'm watching the octopus start to gang up and go take over the world. It's ridiculous, but I love it at the same time, because you're going to remember this ending even if you don't come back to the episode ever again.
Right. Like, I probably won't watch it more than the couple times I watched it for this. But, I mean, I very much enjoyed this bite-sized monster movie. And I think to bring it down to that length is probably why you need the amount of, cringy exposition that we get in this episode. I'm a giant fan of the genre and had a little bit from all of my favorites. The Thing, the Alien trilogy, Leviathan, basically lots of movies where Stan Winston was the creature effects master, and a whole host of other sci-fi creature flicks. Like the other genre adaptations so far in this series, this episode brings the Twilight Zone charm and commentary a little more shoehorned in this episode perhaps, but still worthy of watching. I would actually defend this one on the same level that I would defend Ovation, which is that it's kind of just okay to tell a well-trodden story over again and just update it for a new audience and a new year, basically. All right, that's what we thought of episode 6-8. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of this episode.
And we'll be back here as soon as we can for the next breakdown. Until then, bye-bye, everyone. Stay safe.